My grandfather passed, my mom's dad, and she started finding pennies everywhere. And she said to him, if it's really you, she was alone in the car, which I tell people to do. I'm like, talk out loud to them. You know, they can hear you. They want you to talk to them. She said, if it's you, send me 3 shiny pennies. And the next day she went to the coffee shop near her work, and there were 3 shiny pennies on the counter. Not like a give a penny, take a penny. There were 3 shiny pennies lined up. She started crying. So ever since then, we get pennies in the craziest places.
Welcome to Signs from the Other Side with Fern Ronay. I'm your host, Fern Ronay, and this is the place to share stories of signs and messages received from the other side. Real quick before we get started, if you enjoy reading about signs and if you enjoy fiction like Bridget Jones and Sex and the City, you might enjoy my books, Better in the Morning and Better Believe It. And if you like this podcast, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe in Apple Podcasts and tell a friend too. Thank you so much for listening, and on to the show.
Tommy Stigliano of Tommy Stigs Social Club is taking over my podcast, A Non-Hostile Takeover. This is friendly. He comes in peace to be the host here today and ask me questions. But I'm the weird person on the internet who believes in signs from the other side. I didn't always, but I have had some experiences in my life that have led me here. So ask me anything.
Are you ready for me to take over right now?
Yes.
Because I'm taking this whole thing over right now. I am in total control. I'm in total control. You speak when I say speak, okay? Let's go. Let's do it. Can I start from the beginning before we get into some questions that we have noted right here?
Yes.
You could keep it brief. It's totally up to you.
Yes.
Where did the name come from? Where did the whole vibe come from? Where did this idea come to you?
So the name came from, I believe in signs from the other side. And I almost called it Believers in Signs, but just signs from the other side just felt right. And the name Fern Ronay came because I'm Jennifer Fernicola. That's how I grew up in Belleville. But growing up in the 80s, there were a million Jennifers, of course. And to this day, my mother's still like, like if I go to a baby shower, she's like, put your last name because there's going to be another Jennifer. I'm like, I know. So I always just became Fern. Like I was Fern in college, Fern in wherever I went. So only like really my parents, my husband called me Jennifer, but I'm like, you can call me Jen, you can call me Fern. But so my married name is Ronay.
Did one particular situation in your life really make it happen other than these little things?
Yeah. Growing up, Italian from New Jersey, from Belleville, no less, very Italian town, very Catholic and very close to my grandparents. We loved our grandparents. We were like obsessed with them. And I still are, you get it. And so just growing up Italian, I felt very connected to faith and connected to religion, and was so religious that I taught CCD in high school. My mother used to drive me to St. Peter's Church and then pick me up. My parents, not religious at all. But I just always felt like a great faith. And I found comfort in religion, in church. I really did. And then in my very early 20s, my mom started watching John Edward, the psychic medium. The show was called Crossing Over. And I was like, you're watching this? Like, isn't this against our religion? And she's like, yeah. And then she told me the story that she, was reading a book in bed. And when she was little, her grandmother lived with her. Her grandmother's name was Rose. And they slept in the same bed. That's how it was. She grew up in Bloomfield in a 2-family house. Her family was on the 2nd floor. Her mom and dad had 1 bedroom. Her and her grandmother, after the grandmother, I think, had a stroke and ended up living with them, they slept in the same bed. And at night, they would squeeze each other's hands before they fell asleep. So she was in bed reading, and our cat at the time, Shelby, they were going back and forth like she used to do with her grandmother, like squeeze, like the paw and the hand. And she's like, are you my grandmother? She opened up the book and it said Rose, which is her grandmother's name. And she was like, is this a sign? Like, she doesn't think her grandmother's like actually the cat, but she just was like, is this a sign? And I was like, is this a sacrilegious story? Like, what's going to happen to us? We're getting struck down. But then it really opened my mind. So After that, I was in church and I was praying for my dad's sister who was going through a rough time. My grandmother passed when I was 15. And so I was praying for her daughter, and a fly started like buzzing in my face in church. And I was like, get the hell out of here. And I was like, Graham, like it just occurred to me, like maybe this is possible through energy. I don't think she's actually the fly, but is she like sending me a sign to get my attention to know that like, I know you're praying for my daughter and like, thank you. Like I felt like, I think that's a sign from my grandmother. And she was a little pesky. Like she was always like touching me and like, you know how Italian grandmothers are. And I was always like, it just felt like it was her. It was a message from her. And then so that's the first sign was the fly.
So that was it. That was your,
that
was the
weird.
kickstart for this
That
whole
was
thought.
the Kickstarter. And then a fly has come to me at times when my brother's daughter was born, the first grandchild, the middle of February, snow on the ground. We have it on video. My sister-in-law going, why is there a fly in the middle of February in the hospital? I'm like, it's Grandma. She's here. She was absolutely there. So that's what kickstarted it.
So that started everything. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's go down a couple of things.
Yes.
So the first sign you're receiving, that was the one, right?
That was the one. But then after that, I started like really reading and two more big ones came after that. From my other grandparents. So I started like reading about this. I really had a spiritual awakening in my 20s. And I started reading about all of this, reading all of John Edwards' books, reading a lot of other people's books. And I was in school in Boston, and I was reading at the time a book called Life on the Other Side by Sylvia Browne, who's a psychic medium. She was actually a really popular psychic medium who got a lot of things wrong, but you know, like they're not all perfect. They can't get everything right.
Yeah.
Right. But this book, maybe it was ghostwritten, but it explained things so well. And I loved it. And it was just all clicking for me and making a lot of sense. So this was before I was reading like the actual book. This was like over 20 years ago, walking through the subway in Boston. And one of the things that they were talking about was how you can think you don't know certain people who passed before you came to Earth. So, and I was like, yeah, my grandpa Fern Ronay, he died 9 months before I was born. And I always would say, I don't know him. Like, we don't know each other. I never met him. He died before I was born. But those people probably know you better than anyone else. They've been watching you your whole life. And at that exact moment, a girl was reading the subway sign and she said, Jen, I can see it from the other side. My name is Jen, which is the most popular name in the world, but still at the exact moment that I was thinking that thought, like maybe my grandpa Fern Ronay knows me very well. He's been guiding me my whole life. She said, she was like talking about like her and her friend were like lost in the subway and they were figuring out where to go. But I'm reading Life on the Other Side. I'm thinking about my grandpa Fern Ronay, who I'm like, can he see me? And this girl says, Jen, I could see it from the other side.
That's unbelievable.
So that was my second big one. And then my grandfather passed, my mom's dad, while I was in school. And she started finding pennies everywhere. And she said to him, if it's really you, she was alone in the car, which I tell people to do. I'm like, talk out loud to them. You know, they can hear you. They want you to talk to them. She said, if it's you, send me 3 shiny pennies. And the next day she went to the coffee shop near her work. And there were 3 shiny pennies on the counter. Not like a give a penny, take a penny. There were 3 shiny pennies lined up. She started crying. So ever since then, we get pennies in the craziest places. So those are like the 3 big ones.
So those are your 3. Those are
yes.
That's unbelievable.
That's why the logo has a penny on it.
Okay.
And
there you go.
So then I wrote these 2 books, Better in the Morning and Better Believe It. And the main character gets pennies from her grandparents.
So there's meaning to all of it.
Yes, yeah.
There's deep meaning to all of it. And you created this whole thing. You know, this is not a copycat podcast. This is not an idea that you picked from something else that you have seen. This creation came from your own experiences, your own life. You see, okay, we have a question that we're going to get. I'm going to think the answer is no. There's no coincidence in any of these situations. Right. Is there or is there not?
No, you're absolutely right. Yes. Thank you for saying that, by the way. I never thought of that. that this is not a copycat podcast. Like, I'm not.
No,
right.
it's not. Let
yes,
me
this is all
interrupt
from
you
my
before you
heart.
go further. I just want to say that because I really mean that, because sometimes it's very hard to come up with a name of a podcast, right? Now, I call mine Tommy Stigs Social Club and that just came from a life experience. So your signs from the other side, they just came from a life experience. I've never seen it before. I've never seen anything close to it before, other than some reading, people that do readings and stuff like that. This is totally something 100% different. Custom. I don't think you had to put a lot of thought into it. I think it just came right to you, right?
Yeah. I feel like this is what I'm meant to be doing. Yes. It's all from the heart. It's all genuine. Yes. Thank you for saying that.
So we got that down. I'm going through some things over here that I have jotted down. Okay. That's how I do it. I know it's comical when I do my podcast, but I say to my people, look, I'm looking over there.
Yes.
I have to make notes. We're natural people. If we can't be natural, this stuff does not work.
Right. It's the truth.
So I'm looking here. Okay, so I have the first sign. You gave me 3. I asked for 1. You gave me 3. You're excited.
I'm an overachiever.
Okay. Yeah, you're excited about it. Okay, I got it. See, a non-hostile takeover could be a comfortable environment, and that's what we're doing right now. Okay. Signs with meaning. Some say a cardinal. Some say a hummingbird.
Yeah.
Is it actually a thing? Now, I'm going to tell you a story real quick. If you don't mind, I'll give you something because I spoke to somebody today that lost a baby, right? Oh. And when they were out for the day after the funeral and all of this stuff, a white dove landed on the car. Down by the beach, down the shore somewhere, a white dove landed on the car. And now this is the baby that was unfortunately buried. Is that. So it's real, right?
Yes.
You mentioned a couple of things, the pennies and this and that, but is there anything else, or is it?
Yes.
Or do you believe it's not? You believe it. Obviously, you believe it.
Yeah. And I would say to them, if they're concerned, their baby isn't actually a white dove. Like, if some people think like, is my grandmother like actually a cardinal? Like, I don't know if she'd want to be a bird. And I'm like, no. It's just they don't have a body anymore. So they use but we're still energy, and they use their energy to send something that'll be like a light bulb in your mind, that'll get your attention. And this baby, doesn't matter when you pass, we're all energy. Use their energy to get the parents' attention, to say, whenever you see a white dove, know that I'm sending this sign to you. I'm here. I'm still with you.
Well, what they said was, it just means everything's going to be okay.
Yes.
That's what they take the white dove as. Do you think some people, the cardinal and the hummingbird, you think that has the same thing, or different?
Yes, same thing. Absolutely. Do I think they're able to inhabit, an animal for a few minutes and be with you, like in the physical sense? Yes, I think that's also possible. But it doesn't mean they're living their whole next life as a cardinal. Right.
Wow. No. It just land. They land. They're not beaten. They're not bloody. They're not burdened. They just seem to come in a graceful way and say, listen, it is what it is, but everything is okay. I'm okay.
Yes.
You're okay.
Yes. And like, we disagree on so many things, right? Like religion, the world is like fighting about religion and politics. And the one thing human beings agree on is that the worst thing to happen to a human being is to lose a child. And I saw it with my aunt, and you mentioned on your, that people, like your cousin.
My own family. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And it really is the most awful thing. And I never want to like discount anyone's grief. But like you said, like, it happened, and this is a horrible thing and the worst thing to happen to a human being. At the same time, this is a sign from them without question. And if it gives you any comfort that they're still here and you're still connected, it is true. It is absolutely true.
Thank you so much for listening to Signs from the Other Side. You can find me, Fern Ronay, on all social media at Fern Ronay, Ronay. I love hearing from you, and I love hearing your stories of signs. And if you would like to hear more episodes of this show, please be sure to subscribe in Apple Podcasts. Thank you again, and sweet dreams.